for me, the lack of gray area is really the big problem in politics. And I'm no expert of politics, but the fact that it's the LA Dodgers, the New York Yankees. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I've never seen it this polarized.
You know who did it? You know who did it?
I know
who did it, Larry.
I know
Before I say it,
I know what you're going to say.
You
but
say
you're wrong.
it. You say
who?
who?
You're wrong.
No. Who made it this polarizing? Say it, Larry, please. Say who made it this polarizing. I'm begging you to say it. I am begging you to say it. I am begging you to say the guy who made it this polarizing.
I think that Donald Trump angered a lot of people, including the media. I'll tell you why.
He made it this polarizing. He took it to like steroid Barry Bonds level.
They should look in the mirror. When Donald Trump first decided to run, he was on CNN, he was on MSNBC, which is what I call it, all the time. Why? They thought of him as a joke, but every time he was there, the numbers went up. So he starts picking off these candidates one after another and they realize, holy bleep, I did it again. We created a monster. And so they went after him with a ferocity that I've never seen before because they know they helped to create him. Donald Trump was called a Nazi. There's a guy
I don't like anyone using that term Nazi.
As well you shouldn't. As well, nobody
like
should.
You got to earn that term.
Nobody should. Donald Trump was called a fascist. One of the members of the House, his name is Brooks, said Ronald Reagan got his racist precepts from the pages of Mein Kampf, end of quote.
Right.
When Barry Goldwater was nominated in 1964, the governor of California, Jerry Brown's father, he said, the stench of fascism is in the air, end of quote. The guy, George Soros, likened George W. Bush to Joseph Goebbels, the head of the Nazi
regime.
Misinformation.
Yeah.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
So referring to Republicans as Nazis and fascists has been done for a long time. And as far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party is a party that's been the more shrill of the two.
In terms of that?
In terms of that, yeah.
As far as making it polarizing and who's made it, taking it to another level, Trump, and you're a chill dude, you're a well-spoken dude. When I think of a conservative person who presents himself like a conservative, you are absolutely somebody I would say, who presents himself that way. Trump got elected iconically at his debates, why he became the people's champ, lying Ted Cruz, this one's names, that one names. That seems so opposite to the type of behavior that you represent from yourself. Why and how can you support a guy who also, I also heard you say that when it comes to debates, you're not at the debates. You don't like everybody shooting each other down, and then because it's not good for the party, and you don't like that. People like Gavin Newsom will then again use it against you. But Trump got elected not shooting, fucking publicly lynching, giving nicknames, sexualized hands, all the bullshit that he did. And I know you don't curse. How can you support this guy?
I'm watching the Golf Channel. I'm not a golfer, but
give it to me straight. Don't give me about the golf.
I'm watching the Golf Channel.
Don't Tiger Woods me here like a Jack Nicholson me.
And I love the sport, although I don't play it.
Okay.
And
I'm following you. You're not gonna
stay with me. This is going to make a lot of sense to you. These two professional golfers were being interviewed, and the host said, "What makes a good golfer?" And one of them went through this beautiful, elaborate description of what makes a good golfer, where you put your hands, where your shoulders are, where your legs are, where your eyes are. And the other one went like this. I look to see where the ball lands.
Mm-hmm.
I like where the ball lands on immigration, on abortion, on judges, on taxes, on losing the regulations, on reversing the war against oil and gas, on standing up to China. That's what I like. The rest of it is white noise, pardon the expression.
But is it white noise, Larry?
To me it is.
All right, to you it is.
Look at the BS Joe Biden does.
I want to stay. We'll get to Joe. We'll get to smoking Joe Biden. We'll get to cadaver Joe Biden. I'm not one of these people. I vote for Larry. I am not one of these people. And the only time that people pay attention to me with politics is when I go at Trump. I go at all of them. All of them.
Well, we need to do it now.
But let's stay on your guy Trump.
This is about Trump.
Okay.
Obama. I'm in Boston 2000.
This is about Trump. Obama.
I will connect the dots.
Okay, connect them good. The golf was
The
good.
beautiful thing about the podcast is I get time to develop a thought.
100%.
I'm in Boston 2004, and this guy comes up, funny guy, skinny guy with funny little ears named Barack Obama, and he's introducing John Kerry. And he says, there's no blue America, there's no red America, there's just one United States of America. Everybody goes nuts. There's no black America, there's no white America, there's just one America. Everybody goes nuts. I turned to my producer and I said, this guy's not saying anything. It's just fancy, pretty rhetoric. Anybody can give that speech, but he gave it well. He's probably going to run for president someday.
Obama announces president, and he's on 60 Minutes with Steve Croft. And Steve Croft says,
He wasn't the front runner yet. He was catching up to Hillary. That's why they had him on. And Steve Croft says, Senator, if you don't win, will it be because of racism? I'm at home by myself. I said, let's see how this man answers the question. Is he going to give a victocrat answer? That's a word I coined. I get 10% if you use it, victocrat.
What does it mean?
Somebody that blames everybody else for their problems.
Okay.
Professional victim, victocrat.
Victocrat. I like that word.
Thank you. Booyah. 10%. Write that down. Elder 10%.
That's going to be the name of my next
acknowledge,
book.
Acknowledge it. Like, we got
Victocrat by Michael Rapaport.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is he going to give a victocrat answer the way Sharpton would, who ran for president and then blamed it on racism, and Jesse Jackson ran twice and blamed his loss on racism? Or is he going to tell the truth? And to his credit, he said, no. If I don't win, it will be because I have failed to articulate a vision that the American people can embrace. I went, wow. Senator Obama at a black church is talking about how much racism there is in America. This is when he's running. And he said, the Moses generation, referring to Martin Luther King, has gotten us 90% of the way there. My generation, he said, the Joshua generation, has to get us an additional 10%. Now, there was a Fox News poll, 2002. 8% of Americans believe it is possible that Elvis is still alive. So in that 10%, you got that 8%. So frankly, we're about as good as you can get, just about. And I like the number.
Some people believe that JFK Jr. is still alive.
And
they're very prominent at your guys' rallies.
And I like the number that he gave. We're 90% of the way there. When he walked into the Oval Office the third week of January 2009, I know this is a long way of answering your question, he was at 70% approval.
Barack.
Yeah.
Yes.
He got elected with 53%. How do you get to 70% when you haven't done anything? The answer is a bunch of people who still don't want their taxes raised, as he promised to do, who don't want Obamacare, as he promised to do, said at the very least, he will bring us together racially. So both blacks and whites thought that race relations would improve. When he left, both blacks and whites thought race relations got worse. Why? 8 years. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. If I had a son, he looked like Trayvon. Racism is in our DNA. He embraced Black Lives Matter, had Al Sharpton in the White House over 70 times. He had an AG, Attorney General Eric Holder, who said voter ID was pernicious racism. He played the race card over and over and over to the point where here in New York, his last term, officers Liu and Ramos were shot sitting in their car by a black guy who was pissed off because of the Black Lives Matter narrative that the police were engaging in systemic racism against black people. The stats, by the way, do not show that whatsoever. Baton Rouge, three officers killed execution style by another black man. He also told on social media, told friends, he did it because of systemic racism by the police. 5 officers killed execution style in Dallas. Another different black guy. 3 different black men.
These are lunatics, though.
All motivated by the same rhetoric.
Right.
That Obama embraced. The Black Lives Matter BS that Obama embraced. My point is, Obama made things worse racially, not better, worse. He did the opposite of what American people thought he was going to do when they hired him. So while Donald Trump gets a whole lot of grief for stuff he said, Obama gets nothing because he did well-crafted sentences, he went to Harvard, he spoke beautifully, but he had the same incendiary rhetoric that you accused Donald Trump of having, except you didn't think it was going to come from him. Joe Biden goes to Howard University. This is a few weeks ago. Commencement exercise. And he says, the number one threat to the homeland is white supremacy.
Right.
Are you smoking something?
Right. I know, it's pathetic.
The
It's pathetic.
Anti-Defamation League keeps track of how many people are killed every year by extremists. Last year, there were 25 people out of the over 20,000 people who were killed.
And every one of them is a heartbreaking, devastating thing.
Yeah, but it's 25.
But I got it.
And if you want to play that game, Michael, most homicide is same-race homicide. Most
Right.
white people who are killed by other white people. Most black people who are killed by other black people. However, every year, there are roughly 750, a small percentage of the homicides are interracial black-white. 500 white guys are killed by blacks
even though blacks are 13% of the population, and 250 black guys are killed by whites, even though whites are 60% of the population. Now, if Donald Trump went to a university and said,
The number one threat to the homeland is black supremacy, you and I would both denounce him as a race-hustling demagogue, and should.
Do you don't think he's a race hustler?
Biden does it. Biden does it. Nobody says a word.
Do you? Listen, I will say to you right now, when you said to Charlemagne, you brought up the fact that Charlemagne, who I like, he said when Joe Biden said to him, "You're not black," and he said it to him. He didn't just say it to him. He said it to the entire world.
Right.
He said to the entire black public,
You ain't black, yeah.
You ain't black.
Yeah.
He ain't it.
You
ain't
jargon.
black if you don't vote for Joe. You ain't black if you vote. What did he say? You ain't black for Joe.
If you don't know whether you want to vote for me or vote for Trump, you ain't black.